The Yanks, look at them. Best record in baseball, had the comeback of the night. A's, Yankees, bottom four. Yankees trailing 5-1. Giancarlo Stanton at the plate. And boom, solo shot left center. 18th of the year. Yankees trail 5-2. Taking to the bottom of the seventh, Yankees down 2, trailing 5-3. Aaron Judge at the plate, runner on first, 1 out. And Judge grounds into what looks to be a double play. But watch this. The play is stopped. Take another look at this. Catcher Sean Murphy interferes with Judge's swing. So instead of an ending double play, the Yanks have first and second, 1 out. Anthony Rizzo hit by a pitch. Stanton's back up. Now bases loaded. Stanton fouls off a pitch, but immediately points to the dugout to get it reviewed. Look again. Murphy interferes again. Stanton sent to first. DJ LeMahieu comes in to score. Yanks trail 5-4, and look at Murphy saying, oh boy. Josh Donaldson now up, bases still loaded, and boom, lines it into left. Base hit, 2 runs coming to score. Yanks up 6-5. 2 batters later, Jose Trevino up. Runners at second and third. 2 outs. Hits it right to left, bounces off the wall. Another 2 runs come in. Yanks go on to score 6, count them 6 in the 7th inning, and they win it 9-5. And look, New York has the best record in baseball, and they continue to find ways to win, especially late. Yesterday was their 3rd come-from-behind win in the past 5 days. They now have, overall, 23 comeback wins this season, tops in baseball. And of those 23, 11 of them have come when trailing in the 7th inning or later. Well, coming up, telling the Atlantic on Monday that he is opting into his $36.5 million option with the Brooklyn Nets for next season. Irving told the site, quote, normal people keep the world going, but those who dare to be different lead us into tomorrow. I've made my decision to opt in. See you in the fall. A11 even. So he is back in Brooklyn, and Adrian Wojnarowski is back with us after breaking this huge news. So, Woj, let's keep it simple. Why did Kyrie make this decision?
I mean, Ryan, simply, he ran out of leverage to get the long-term deal that he wanted, either in a sign-and-trade scenario or with the Nets. And I think those are really the 2 rails he was playing. And the third thing, the threat of going to the Lakers on an opt-out at their $6 million exception. And so Kyrie Irving did not give up $30+ million for next season. And I think, that all combined with, sort of the unspoken looming threat of a Kevin Durant trade if Kyrie Irving left, none of that pushed the Nets to give him the long-term commitment that he wanted. Again, there was no sign-and-trade scenario that made sense with the Lakers. So he opts back into his deal with Brooklyn, and now, of course, he could be a free agent after next season.
And now a huge situation for the Nets. So what does this mean? You mentioned he could be a free agent after the season. What does this mean for his long-term future?
Well, listen, I think if Kyrie Irving is available this season, if he is productive, if there's a low level of drama, he certainly puts himself back in the mix for teams who have cap space next year, to get the kind of extension he wants, or, of course, to do it in Brooklyn. I think there's no question about Kyrie Irving's talent. He's still an all-NBA level player who's in his prime. But clearly you saw this offseason there was not a rush or even a movement of teams who either had cap space or who could create cap space to go out and give Kyrie Irving the kind of commitment he wanted. Brooklyn wasn't going to do it. And so I think this is a year where Kyrie Irving can rebuild perhaps his value around the league and the belief that he could be counted on. And I think more than anything, he's got to show that to teams around the league, and he's got to show that to the Nets.
And show that he is, as you say, available and productive. We'll see if that happens. Adrian Wojnarowski breaking this huge news. Thank you so much, Woj, as we talk about the Nets and Kyrie, of course, telling the Atlantic he's coming back. So what does this mean for the Nets is the biggest question, Tim.
I mean, it means, as Adrian just said, this is a grand slam home run for the Brooklyn Nets. This is exactly what they wanted. They wanted Kyrie Irving on a short-term deal where he has to come in and prove he's actually committed to being part of this team and on the court, right? All the things we've talked about over the past couple of days, it's been about, is Kyrie going to play? Where is he going to play? What is his level of commitment going to be? Well, now we know. He's opted in for next year. He's on this Nets roster. And if the Nets have him and Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant on the court, if they are available, this team is as good as anybody and can win a championship. And this is what the Nets wanted. Kevin Durant on the team, Kyrie Irving on the team, Ben Simmons on the team. They have a championship-level roster, and now they can go forward with this group without having to give Kyrie Irving a long-term commitment to do so. That was what the holdup was. That Kyrie, as Adrian said, Kyrie wanted this money. He didn't get it. They called his bluff. They won. Now they have him on the team for 1 year. It's a perfect scenario for Brooklyn.
Wow, called his bluff and won. Zach, what do you make of this deal?
Look, Tim is right. The Nets stood firm. They didn't cave. They said publicly and privately, we're not giving them the long-term max. We'll see what happens. We'll risk losing Durant or having Durant drama too. And they quote-unquote won because he opted in and now ceded some control of the situation. But two things. Why would we assume that it's over now? What in the history of Kyrie Irving and the entire Brooklyn Nets superstar experiment would suggest to anyone that because he's going to sign a piece of paper and opt in, that everything's great, the team is going to roll into next season as championship contenders, everything's going to be wonderful. The second thing is the Nets have long since forfeited, oh, they could be this status. The Nets are in, I'll see it when I believe it status. Durant, Kyrie, Simmons, absolutely a perfect fit on the floor. The Nets have some extra draft picks from the Sixers, courtesy of the Harden trade, that I expect them to play with this summer. They can bring back Nick Claxton. That all sounds great. Let me see it. Is Ben Simmons going to play? When is he going to play? Is Kyrie going to play? When is he going to play? The vaccine mandate is out the window, so that should be safe. Kyrie should be a 60, 65 game player now. Let me see it. When it's go time, is Ben Simmons going to be afraid to get fouled? Is Ben Simmons going to take jump shots ever again? Like, it all sounds great on paper. I agree with all of it. The Nets are now firmly in, I'll believe it when I see it territory.
To Zach's point, the Nets have been a theoretical team for 3 years. It's time for them to be an actual team.
A theoretical versus an actual team. So, Seth, do you believe this is actually a team that can win a title?
You're going to see the best of Kyrie Irving. He realized he put himself out. He had no suitors. Now, all of a sudden, he's betting on himself. He realized no one's going to give him a max deal with the behavior that he's had the last few years, the lack of being available. So what does he have to do? He's going to go out and he's going to play 70 games. He's going to go out and he's going to be productive. He's going to go out and get the ball where he needs to get it and when he needs to get it. He's going to be a good teammate. He's going to be a winning player because that's the only way he's going to get the end result. Look, he wasn't leaving $30 million, on the table. He just wasn't leaving $30 million on the table. What he wants is a max deal. How do you get a max deal? You go out, you hoop. You go out, you're a winning player. You go out, you're a good teammate. You go out, you're productive. You go out and you show people that, you know what, I'm worth investing in. And then once he gets the max deal, who knows what's going to happen. But one thing I do know that's going to happen this year, you're going to see the best of Kyrie Irving.
There you go. You mentioned, and Tim and I are looking at each other. Once he gets the max deal, who knows what's going to happen? I wonder if this is part of the calculus, Tim. They've got him for this year, but what does that mean long term?
Well, what it means is that we're talking about this year, right? As Zach said, with Kyrie Irving, you can't go past the immediate, right? You can't go past today. And yeah, sure, he could come back in the fall and decide he doesn't want to be there, and this could be a mess. But for the Nets, you have to look at it as this is what we wanted. We wanted him on a one-year deal, a short-term commitment of some kind. We got that. Now we're going to go into this season. We're going to try to win a championship with a team that is capable of winning a championship. We forget that all the time because of all the noise around this team and, frankly, the fact that they have not been on the court together. But this team is a championship-level roster. And this was the best chance for Kyrie Irving to win. This was the best chance for Kyrie Irving to get paid, to come back, to play this year for the Nets. If he does anything close to what Seth said before, he's going to be in good shape next summer. This is about being time for these guys to produce on the court consistently. And if they do, the Nets are going to be in very good shape.
And that's the key, production, availability. Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, Ben, now that you got Kyrie Irving obviously in line, now what you got to do is you got to get Ben Simmons. Well, how do you get Ben Simmons? I think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving got to put their arms around him. If you're going to have a championship team, your three best players, your three superstars have to be on the same page. You can't have Kyrie in one direction, KD in one direction, and Ben Simmons in one direction. Those two guys, those two veteran net players have to go and basically, if Ben Simmons is healthy, embrace him and bring him into the loop. Because any championship team, if your best players, if your superstars are not on the same page, I don't care how talented you are individually, collectively, you will not play at a championship caliber level. So, to me, I think the next step is KD basically, in a way, by not participating in the Kyrie conversation, got him back. Now those guys have got to put their arms around Ben Simmons.
Okay, so, Zach, I know you're